Where pavement meets promise, a billionaire's unconventional family. Imagine rock bottom, hungry, alone, and invisible. Then, a chance encounter with a grieving billionaire and his 4-year-old daughter turns your world upside down. But this isn't a fairy tale. What dark secret from your past could shatter this fragile new beginning? And would you risk it all for a family you never dared to dream of? Like this video, if you believe kindness can change everything. And don't forget to hit subscribe for more stories that will touch your soul. Please, sir, I just need something to eat, Chloe whispered, her hand trembling as she stretched it towards the elegantly dressed man walking with a small child. Daniel stopped abruptly, looking at the young woman sitting on the cold pavement of Union Square Park. Her clothes were dirty and torn, but there was something in her eyes that unsettled him. A profound sadness he immediately recognized. "Daddy, why is she on the ground?" Sophia asked, with the innocent curiosity of her 4 years, letting go of her father's hand to approach Chloe. "Sophia, no," Daniel began, but his daughter was already in front of the young woman, pulling a cookie from her backpack. "Here, you must be hungry," the little girl said, offering the cookie with a sweet smile. Chloe felt her eyes well up. It had been months since anyone had shown her such kindness, let alone such a small child. "Thank you, little one," she murmured, taking the cookie carefully. "You're very sweet." Daniel watched the scene, something stirring in his chest. He hadn't felt in a long time. The way Chloe looked at his daughter, with genuine tenderness despite her own desperation, reminded him of something he had lost long ago. "When was the last time you had a hot meal?" Daniel asked, surprising himself with the question. Chloe looked up at him, studying his face. He was young, perhaps in his late 30s, with kind but tired eyes. His expensive suit contrasted sharply with her surroundings. "I don't remember," she admitted softly. "Daddy, can we help her?" Sophia interjected, taking Chloe's dirty hand without hesitation. "Mommy always said we should help sad people." The mention of his late wife hit Daniel, as it always did, but this time not with pain, but with a strange feeling that Helena would have approved of what he was about to do. "Would you like to have dinner with us?" he asked impulsively. "There's a restaurant nearby." Chloe looked at him warily. In the month she'd been on the streets of San Francisco, she had learned to be cautious, especially with men who seemed to have money. "That's not necessary, sir. Whatever you can spare is fine." "Please," Daniel insisted, his voice softer. "My daughter is right, and you look like you need a decent meal." Sophia clapped excitedly. "Yes, we can go where they have the fries I like." After several minutes of gentle persuasion, Chloe accepted. In the small family restaurant, sitting across from Daniel and Sophia, she felt strangely normal for the first time in months. "What's your name?" Sophia asked while eating her French fries. "Chloe. And you?" "Sophia Sterling. And he's my daddy, Daniel. My mommy is in heaven." Daniel noticed how Chloe closed her eyes for a moment, as if those words pained her in some personal way. "I'm so sorry," Chloe murmured. "Did you lose your family too?" Sophia asked with that brutal honesty only children possess. Chloe's hands trembled slightly around her cup of hot chocolate. "Yes, little one. They're in heaven too." Daniel studied the young woman across from him. Despite her unkempt appearance, she seemed educated. The way she spoke, how she held her cutlery, even her posture revealed that she hadn't always lived on the streets. "What did you do before?" he asked carefully. "I was an environmental engineer," Chloe replied, then quickly corrected herself. "Well, I studied engineering. I worked on sustainable development projects." "Really? I have a tech company. We develop software for businesses." For the first time that night, Chloe smiled genuinely. It must be interesting to work on something that can really help people. "Sometimes I wonder if I really help," Daniel admitted. "Lately, I feel like I just work to keep myself busy. There was a comfortable silence between them, as Sophia concentrated on drawing with the crayons the restaurant had provided. "Where are you going to sleep tonight?" Daniel asked when they finished dinner. "There's a place near the park," Chloe lied. The truth was, she had no idea. Daniel pulled out his wallet and handed her several bills along with a business card. "This is for a hotel, and if you need help, here's my number." Chloe looked at the money with a mix of gratitude and wounded pride. "I can't accept so much. Please, just for tonight so you can rest well." As they said goodbye outside the restaurant, Sophia hugged Chloe spontaneously. "I hope to see you soon, Chloe. I like you." That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. There was something in Chloe's eyes he couldn't shake, a sadness he recognized because it was similar to his own, but also a strength that impressed him. The next day, early in the morning, he decided to pass by the area where he had found her. To his surprise, he saw her sitting in the same spot, but this time, she was distributing food to other homeless people. The clothes she was wearing were the same as the night before. He approached, confused. "Chloe, you didn't go to the hotel?" She looked up, a little embarrassed to have been discovered. "There were people hungrier than me. The money was enough to buy food for several." Daniel was speechless. Instead of using the money for her own comfort, she had helped others in her same situation. At that moment, he knew there was something special about this woman, something he couldn't simply ignore and go on with his life. "Chloe," he said, kneeling beside her on the sidewalk, "I need to make you a proposal." "A proposal?" Chloe looked at him suspiciously, moving away slightly, as Daniel knelt beside her. "My regular nanny can't come for a few weeks. Sophia needs someone to look after her while I work," Daniel explained, trying to sound casual. "I'd pay well, and you'd have a place to stay." "Mr. Sterling, I'm not a nanny. Besides, you don't know me." "Yesterday I saw how you treated Sophia, and she—" Daniel paused. "She hasn't smiled this much since her mom died. Something tells me you're exactly what she needs." Chloe shook her head. "I can't accept your charity." "It's not charity, it's a job. Sophia really needs someone, and you need a safe place to be. It would be temporary, just until you find something better." After an hour of gentle persuasion and seeing the rain begin to fall, Chloe finally accepted. The drive to Sausalito Hills in Daniel's Mercedes was silent and tense. When they arrived at the mansion, Chloe felt completely out of place. "Chloe!" Sophia shouted when she saw her enter, running to hug her. "Daddy said you're going to stay with us." "Just for a while, little one," Chloe murmured, still overwhelmed by the luxury surrounding her. Daniel showed her the guest room, which was larger than any place Chloe had lived before the disaster. "You can use anything you need. Tomorrow we can go buy some clothes if you want." "I don't need new clothes," Chloe quickly replied. "Okay, whatever you say." Daniel raised his hands in a gesture of peace. "I just want you to be comfortable." That first night, Chloe could barely sleep in the soft bed. She got up several times to make sure the door wasn't locked, a habit she had developed since losing everything. The next morning, she met Eleanor, Daniel's mother, who had come for breakfast as she did every Thursday. "So, you're the new help?" the older woman asked with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Daniel told me he found you on the street." "Yes, ma'am," Chloe replied, sensing the judgment in her voice. "How interesting. I hope you understand that this family has been through a lot. We don't need any more complications." Daniel entered at that moment, saving Chloe from having to answer. "Mom, Chloe is going to take care of Sophia, nothing more." "Of course, my son. I'm just worried about you both." The first few days were difficult for Chloe. She felt watched and judged, but Sophia made her forget all that. The little girl seemed to blossom with her presence, laughing more, talking more, even eating better. "Why do you know so much about plants?" Sophia asked one afternoon, as they walked through the garden. "Because I studied to work with the land and help things grow," Chloe explained, teaching the girl how to identify different types of flowers. "Like my daddy helps companies grow with his computers." "Exactly. We all have different ways of helping." Daniel came home early from work that day and found them in the garden. Seeing his daughter so lively filled his heart with a warmth he hadn't felt in a long time. "What are you two doing?" "Chloe is teaching me about plants. Did you know roses need a lot of sun, but not too much water?" "I didn't know that." Daniel smiled, looking at Chloe. "Looks like you have a good teacher." That night, after putting Sophia to bed, Daniel found Chloe in the kitchen preparing tea. "Can I ask you a question?" He sat across from her. "Of course. What really happened? I mean, before you—" He didn't finish the sentence. Chloe was silent for a long moment. "There was a natural disaster. I lost my family, my home, my job, everything." Her voice broke slightly. "Sometimes life takes everything from you at once. I'm sorry. I know what it's like to lose someone important too." Daniel extended his hand and gently touched hers. "Helena died of cancer 2 years ago. At first, I thought I couldn't go on. How do you do it? How do you keep going when you feel like everything is over? Sophia saved me. Having to take care of her forced me to get up every day. And now," he looked directly at her, "seeing you with her reminds me that there can still be good times." It was the first of many nightly conversations they would share. Slowly, Chloe began to feel less like an employee and more like part of the family. However, not everything was easy. Richard Vance, Daniel's business partner, frequently visited the house and always made uncomfortable comments about Chloe's presence. "Don't you think it's strange to have a stranger living in your house?" he would say in the living room. "I mean, you don't know anything about her past." "I know enough," Daniel replied firmly. "I'm just saying you should be more careful, especially with Sophia involved." Chloe overheard the conversation from the living room and felt a pang of pain. Maybe Richard was right. Maybe she didn't belong there. That night, while helping Sophia with a puzzle, the little girl asked her a question that completely disarmed her. "Chloe, are you going to be my new mommy?" "Oh, little one, I'm just here temporarily. Your daddy will find someone suitable to take care of you." "But I want it to be you. You're pretty, and you know a lot of things, and you make Daddy smile again." Chloe felt her eyes well up. She was starting to love this child as if she were her own, and that terrified her more than anything. What do you think Chloe's dark secret is? Can Daniel truly trust her? Share your theories in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more dramatic twists. 3 months had passed since Chloe arrived at Daniel's house, and the daily routine had become so natural that sometimes she forgot it wasn't truly her home. "Mommy, look what I made!" Sophia shouted one morning, running to Chloe with a drawing in her hands. Chloe froze. It was the first time Sophia had called her that. "Sophia, I'm not your mommy," she said softly, kneeling to be at the child's level. "But you take care of me like a mommy, and Daddy says mommies are the ones who love you and protect you. Don't you love me?" Chloe's heart broke a little. Of course she loved this child, but she had no right to usurp Helena's place. "I love you very much, little one, but your real mommy is in heaven, remember? You can have 2 mommies, one in heaven and one here with me." Daniel appeared at the kitchen door, having heard the entire conversation. His expression was impossible to read. "Sophia, go wash your hands for breakfast," he said softly. When the girl left, Daniel approached Chloe, who was visibly nervous. "I'm sorry, I'll explain that I'm not—" "Don't apologize." Daniel interrupted her. "She's right. You've become her mommy in every way that matters." Chloe looked at him in surprise. "Daniel, I can't replace Helena. It's not about replacing anyone. It's about my daughter being happy for the first time in 2 years, and you—" He paused. "You're also part of that happiness." There was a tension in the air that neither dared to name. Their shared moments had become more intimate, their gazes longer, their nightly conversations more personal. "I have something to propose to you," Daniel finally said. "Not as a boss, but as family." "What do you mean?" "Stay. Permanently. Not as an employee, but as part of our lives. Sophia needs you. And I—" He swallowed. "I need you too." Before Chloe could respond, Eleanor entered the kitchen without warning. "Good morning, Daniel. Chloe." Her tone was noticeably colder towards Chloe. "Good morning, Ms. Sterling," Chloe replied, immediately feeling uncomfortable. "Daniel, can we talk privately?" "Mom, whatever you have to say, you can say in front of Chloe." "All right," Eleanor sighed. "I've been talking to Richard, and we think it might be time for Chloe to look for other arrangements." "Excuse me?" Daniel tensed. "Son, Sophia is getting too attached, and so are you, from what I see. This situation isn't healthy." "Healthy for whom?" Daniel retorted. "My daughter is happy. I'm at peace knowing she's well cared for." "But what do you really know about her?" Eleanor interrupted. "She appeared out of nowhere. No references, no family. Doesn't that seem suspicious to you?" Chloe felt as if she had been slapped. She got up from the table. "Perhaps your mom is right. I should look for another place." "No." Daniel also stood up. "Mom, Chloe is part of this family now. If you can't accept that, then maybe you should reconsider your visits." Eleanor was speechless. She had never seen her son defend someone that way, not even Helena at first. "Daniel, I'm just worried about you and my granddaughter." "Then trust my judgment. Chloe is staying." That afternoon, after Eleanor left visibly upset, Daniel found Chloe packing her few belongings. "What are you doing?" "Your mom is right. I don't belong here. Sophia deserves stability, not someone like me." "Someone like you? Someone who loves her unconditionally? Someone who makes her laugh every day? Someone who has helped me remember what it's like to live instead of just survive?" Chloe stopped packing and looked at him. "Daniel, you don't understand. I have things in my past that—" "We all have a past, Chloe. What matters is the present. And in the present, you make my daughter happy. You make me happy too." He approached her and took her hands. "Stay, please." That night, Sophia woke up from a nightmare and ran directly to Chloe's room, not Daniel's. Chloe comforted her, sang her a lullaby her own mother used to sing to her, and stayed with her until she fell asleep. Daniel found them like that in the morning, cuddling in bed, and he knew his decision was made. The following days were tense with Richard's visits. He showed up more frequently and always made subtle comments about the unusual situation in the house. "I'm just saying it would be terrible if something went wrong," he commented to Daniel one afternoon. "Children get attached easily, and then they suffer when people leave." "Chloe isn't leaving," Daniel replied firmly. "Are you sure? Because I've noticed that sometimes she seems distant, as if she's keeping secrets." Daniel looked over to where Chloe was playing with Sophia in the garden. It was true that sometimes he caught her with an expression of deep sadness, as if she carried something very heavy. That night, during their usual conversation in the kitchen, Daniel decided to address the topic. "Chloe, is there anything else you want to tell me about your past?" She tensed immediately. "I already told you what happened." "Yes, but I feel there's more, and I don't care what it is. I just want to know you better." Chloe got up abruptly. "Some things are better left in the past, Daniel." "Why? I told you about Helena, about how she died, about my fears." "Because mine is different," Chloe exploded, then covered her mouth, surprised by her own reaction. Daniel approached her. "Different how?" different because Helena was a good person who didn't deserve to die. And I perhaps deserved to lose everything. That's not true. You don't know that, Chloe murmured, leaving the kitchen. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. There was something in the way Chloe talked about her past that told him she wasn't just an innocent victim of circumstances. But he also knew that the woman living in his house, who cared for his daughter with so much love, couldn't be a bad person. The next day, he made a decision that would change everything between them. What shocking truth do you think Daniel is about to uncover about Chloe's past? Will it break them apart or bring them closer? Give us your best guess in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more intense revelations. Daniel looked at the private investigator's card that Richard had given him weeks ago, saying it was just a precaution. It had been on his desk for days, and he finally decided to call. "I just want to help her," he justified to himself as he dialed the number. "If there are documents she can recover or any government benefits she's entitled to." 2 weeks later, Daniel received a manila envelope that would change everything. His hands trembled as he read the report. It wasn't possible. The woman living in his house, who cared for his daughter, who had become... She couldn't be the same person from the report. Chloe Reston, environmental engineer, lead engineer of the Evergreen Valley Housing Project, responsible for supervising land stability. The landslide that caused 47 deaths occurred on land she had approved for construction. Daniel dropped the papers. He had sought to help her, and instead he had discovered that she was guilty, responsible for the deaths she mentioned, as if she had been only a victim. That night, he waited for Sophia to fall asleep to confront Chloe. He found her in the kitchen, preparing Sophia's lunch for the next day, as she did every night. "We need to talk," Daniel said, his voice colder than usual. Chloe looked up and immediately knew something was wrong. "What's wrong?" Daniel put the folder on the table. "Are you going to tell me the truth, or do I have to read it myself?" Chloe saw the folder and turned pale. Her hands began to tremble. "Daniel, I can explain." "Explain what?" "That you're not just a victim of the Evergreen Valley landslide, but the engineer who approved the construction. That 47 people died, including your own family, because of land you said was safe." "It wasn't like that!" Chloe cried, then lowered her voice, remembering Sophia was asleep. "I warned them about the risks. Again and again, I told them it wasn't safe to build there. But you signed the documents. You approved the project." "Because they threatened to fire me. Because they told me if I didn't sign, they'd bring in another engineer who would. I thought maybe I was being too cautious." Tears began to roll down her cheeks. "Do you know what it's like to live knowing your family died because of your cowardice? That all those people died because I wasn't brave enough to stand my ground? Why didn't you tell me the truth from the beginning?" "Because I knew you'd look at me exactly the way you're looking at me now, Daniel. Like I'm a monster." "You're not a monster, but you lied to me. For months you've let me believe you were just an innocent victim. And you investigated my past behind my back," Chloe retorted. "What kind of trust is that?" "I did it to help you. I didn't need your help. I needed your trust." They looked at each other in silence, both breathing heavily. Daniel ran his hands through his hair. "I don't know what to think, Chloe. This whole situation. Sophia is so attached to you, and now I discover that..." "That what? That I'm a murderer? Is that what you think?" "I don't know what to think. I just know you've been living in my house, taking care of my daughter, making me believe that..." "That what, Daniel? That you fell in love with a liar?" The question hung in the air. It was the first time either of them had mentioned the love that had grown between them. "Maybe," Daniel admitted softly. Chloe closed her eyes, feeling as if a dagger had been plunged into her chest. "Then you have your answer. You can't love someone you don't trust." "Chloe." "No." She got up from the table. Your mom was right. Richard was right. I don't belong here. I only bring pain wherever I go. Where are you going to go? That's not your problem. She picked up the folder and handed it to him. Here's the whole truth. I hope it makes you feel better to know you're right, not to trust me. Chloe went up to her room and began packing her few belongings. Every item she put in the suitcase felt like another piece of her heart breaking. The next day, very early, before Sophia woke up, Chloe left. She left a letter for the girl explaining that she had to leave, but that she would always love her. She left nothing for Daniel. When Sophia woke up and couldn't find Chloe, she began to cry inconsolably. Where's Mommy Chloe? I want Mommy Chloe. Daniel tried to explain that Chloe had to leave, but Sophia didn't understand. For days, the little girl barely ate, constantly asking when Chloe would return. She's not coming back, my love, Daniel told her one night while comforting her. Why? Did we do something wrong? No, princess. Adults sometimes. Sometimes we don't know how to fix things. Eleanor arrived that same week, expecting to find Daniel relieved by Chloe's departure. Instead, she found a broken man and a heartbroken granddaughter. I thought you'd be better off without her, she said, looking at Daniel, who had barely touched his food. I thought so too, Daniel murmured. But look at Sophia. Look at both of us. Do we look better to you? Richard also visited, with an expression that tried to be understanding, but fooled no one. It was for the best, brother. Imagine the scandal if the press found out that the engineer responsible for the Evergreen Valley disaster was living in your house. Daniel looked at him with a coldness Richard had never seen. Get out of my house. What? I said get out, and don't come back until you can speak about Chloe with respect. That night, alone and listening to Sophia cry in her sleep for Mommy Chloe, Daniel realized the magnitude of his mistake. He hadn't investigated Chloe's past to help her, but because a part of him needed to find a reason not to fall completely in love with her. And now he had lost her. 3 months had passed since Chloe left, and Daniel hadn't stopped looking for her. At first, he had gone to the obvious places: shelters, soup kitchens, the same corners of Union Square Park where he had found her. Nothing. Daddy, when is Mommy Chloe coming back? Sophia asked for the umpteenth time over breakfast. I don't know, my love, Daniel replied, his voice heavy with guilt. Can we go look for her today? Today you have to go with Grandma. Daddy has work. Sophia pouted. Since Chloe had left, the little girl had lost her characteristic joy. She ate little, smiled less, and constantly asked for her. Eleanor arrived that morning with a less triumphant expression than Daniel had expected. How's my granddaughter? As you can see, not very well. Daniel, I thought that we'd be better off without her. Yes, I got that clearly. Eleanor sat down with a sigh. Maybe I was wrong. I haven't seen Sophia this happy since Helena died, and neither have you. Daniel looked at her in surprise. Are you admitting you were wrong? I'm saying that perhaps I didn't understand how important that young woman was to you both. But Daniel, if she was so important, why did she leave? Daniel told his mother about the investigator's report, about the fight, about everything that had gone wrong. Then the problem isn't that she's a bad person, Eleanor concluded. The problem is that you didn't trust her. I wanted to help her. Liar. You were afraid of falling in love, and you looked for an excuse to push her away, just like you did when Helena first got sick. Daniel fell silent. His mother was right, as always. Meanwhile, Chloe had found refuge in a squatter's house near downtown San Francisco. But this time, it was different. The months living with Daniel and Sophia had restored some of her confidence and purpose. Hey, come see this! shouted Mark, one of the residents. Chloe had been working for days on a rainwater harvesting system for the community, using knowledge from her degree that had been dormant for months. "This is great, Chloe. Where did you learn to do these things?" "I studied engineering," she replied simply, without giving more details. In a few weeks, she had helped improve the living conditions of the small group of homeless people. She had designed more efficient shelters, drainage systems, even small gardens to grow vegetables. "You should work for the government," said Anne, an older woman who had been on the streets for years. "With what you know, you could help so many people." "I tried that once," Chloe murmured. "It didn't go well." But at night, when she was alone, Chloe couldn't stop thinking about Sophia and Daniel. Was the girl okay? Had Daniel found someone else to take care of her? The idea hurt her more than she wanted to admit. One day, while buying provisions at the market, she saw a newspaper with a photo that made her gasp. It was Daniel, but the image accompanied an article about successful entrepreneurs. Unable to help herself, she bought the newspaper. The article mentioned his company, his success, but also briefly spoke of his personal life. Widower for 2 years. Single father of a 4-year-old girl. Chloe felt a pang as she read single father. It meant he hadn't found anyone else to replace her. That same week, Daniel had finally hired a professional detective to search for Chloe. Not to investigate her past this time, but simply to find her. "Are you sure you just want to locate her?" the detective asked. "Why, if you need additional information?" "No, I just want to know where she is and that she's okay. Nothing more." Richard continued to visit occasionally, but Daniel had noticed something strange about his behavior. He seemed nervous, especially when Chloe was mentioned. "Are you sure it's a good idea to look for her?" Richard asked one afternoon. "I mean, after everything that happened." "What exactly happened, Richard? Because every time you mention Chloe, you act as if you know something I don't." "I don't know anything. I'm just worried about you and Sophia." But that night, Richard made a call from his car. "We have a problem. Daniel is actively looking for her. If he finds her and they talk, she could tell him about the company. Yes, the construction company. The same one we've been covering up with his investments." Meanwhile, Eleanor had started her own search. She felt guilty for having contributed to Chloe's departure and wanted to find her to apologize. It was during one of these searches that she saw Chloe at the market. She followed her at a distance to the squatter house and was impressed by what she saw. Chloe had transformed the place. She had helped create a small, organized, and thriving community within its limitations. That night, Eleanor told Daniel what she had seen. "She's okay, son. Thin, but okay. And she's helping other people, as always. Did you talk to her?" "She didn't see me. But Daniel, you have to find her. That girl loves you, and you love her. And Sophia, my granddaughter, needs her mommy, Chloe." It was the first time Eleanor had referred to Chloe that way. "I don't know if she'll want to talk to me after what happened. There's only one way to find out." That night, Daniel made a decision. The next day, he would go look for Chloe. Not to bring her back, but to apologize and tell her what he should have said from the beginning, that he loved her with her past, with her mistakes, with everything that made her who she was. But he didn't know that Richard was planning to ensure that conversation never happened. Will Daniel reach Chloe before Richard can interfere? And what will Chloe do when faced with the full truth? Comment below with your thoughts. And if you're hooked, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more heart-pounding stories. Daniel arrived at the squatter house early in the morning, his heart pounding. He had rehearsed 1,000 times what he would say to Chloe, but now that he was there, all the words had vanished. "Looking for someone?" Mark asked, looking suspiciously at Daniel's expensive suit. "Chloe Reston. Is she here?" "What do you want her for?" I'm a friend. I need to talk to her. Mark yelled inside the building. Chloe, someone's looking for you. When Chloe appeared and saw Daniel, she froze. She looked thinner, but also stronger somehow. Her eyes showed surprise, then pain, and finally, a defensive coldness. What are you doing here? I need to talk to you, please. We have nothing to talk about, Daniel. Yes, we do. A lot. Daniel looked around. Can we go somewhere more private? Chloe hesitated, but finally nodded. They walked to a small nearby park in silence. How's Sophia? Chloe asked before Daniel could speak. Bad. She misses you every day. Asks for you constantly. Chloe closed her eyes, feeling pain. You'll find someone better to take care of her. I don't want anyone else. Neither does she. She wants you. I want you. Daniel, let me finish, he interrupted her. I came to apologize. I had no right to investigate your past. I had no right to judge you. And above all, I had no right to make you feel as if you were guilty of something that, clearly, wasn't your fault. Chloe looked at him in surprise. How do you know it wasn't my fault? Because I spent these months investigating more. The real investigation, Chloe. The construction company falsified reports, bribed officials, ignored all your warnings. You weren't to blame for anything. But I signed. You signed under pressure and threats. And even so, there are documents showing you continued to protest until the last moment. Daniel pulled a folder from his briefcase. There's more. The company that did the defective construction is the same one Richard has been directing my investments to for years. He knew who you were from the beginning. Chloe took the documents with trembling hands. What? Richard has been using my money to cover up the legal claims from your town. He knew exactly who you were when you appeared in our lives, and that's why he wanted to drive you away. He was afraid you'd discover the connection. It can't be. I confronted him yesterday. At first, he denied everything, but when I showed him the evidence, he admitted everything. He even threatened to ruin my company if I exposed him. Chloe sat on a bench, overwhelmed by the information. All this time, I thought it was my fault. All this time, I hated myself for not having done more. You did everything you could. You were the only person who tried to stop that tragedy. Chloe began to cry, but this time they weren't tears of guilt, but of relief. Years of carrying a burden that wasn't hers began to fade. Daniel sat beside her. Chloe, I love you. I love your strength, your kindness, the way you care for Sophia, the way you help others, even when you have nothing. I love you with your past, with your scars, with everything. Daniel, I love you too, but nothing. I know I hurt you. I know I lost your trust. But if you give me a chance, I'll spend the rest of my life proving to you that I'll never doubt you again. Before Chloe could answer, Daniel's phone rang. It was his mother. She sounded desperate. Daniel, you have to come quick. Sophia is in the hospital. She has a very high fever and is asking for Chloe. Daniel and Chloe ran to the hospital. When they arrived, they found Sophia burning with fever, delirious. Where's Mommy Chloe? I want Mommy Chloe, the girl repeated over and over. I'm here, my love, Chloe said, taking Sophia's small hand. Immediately, the girl calmed down. Mommy Chloe? You came back? Yes, princess. I'm here. For the next few hours, Chloe didn't move from Sophia's side. Daniel watched her and realized that this woman wasn't just someone he had fallen in love with. She was his daughter's mother in every way that mattered. When Sophia's fever finally broke, the girl fell asleep peacefully, clutching Chloe's hand. Don't leave again, she murmured in her dreams. I won't leave, Chloe promised, and as she said it, she realized it was true. Daniel approached her. Does that mean? It means I want to try, but this time it will be different. No secrets, No investigations, no lies. None of that, Daniel promised. Only truth, trust, and love. They kissed for the first time in the hospital, next to the bed where the child who had brought them together from the beginning slept. Eleanor, who had been watching from the doorway, smiled and quietly withdrew. Her family was finally complete. A week later, Daniel presented all the evidence against Richard to the authorities. The construction company was prosecuted, and the families affected by the Evergreen Valley landslide finally obtained justice. Chloe, finally free from the guilt that had haunted her for years, could begin to plan a real future with Daniel and Sophia. "What do you want to do now?" Daniel asked her one night, as the three of them had dinner at home. "I want to use my experience to help others. I want to make sure tragedies like Evergreen Valley never happen again." "Then we'll do that. Together." Sophia, who had been listening in silence, raised her juice cup. "To family!" Daniel and Chloe clinked their glasses with the girl's cup, laughing. "To family!" they repeated in unison. 5 years later. 5 years had passed since that day in the hospital, when Chloe promised never to leave again, and she had kept her word in ways none of them could have imagined. Saturday morning found the Sterling Reston family in their new routine. Sophia, now 9, helped Chloe prepare breakfast, while Daniel reviewed the plans for the new housing project his foundation was developing. "Mommy, can you teach me how to make pancakes like you do?" Sophia asked, naturally using the title she had adopted years ago. "Of course, my love, but first, you have to wash your hands." Daniel smiled as he listened to the conversation. Chloe had officially become Sophia's mother 2 years ago, when the adoption paperwork was finalized. The ceremony had been small, but perfect, with Eleanor crying tears of happiness and Sophia wearing a dress she had chosen herself for the day. Mommy Chloe becomes my real mommy. "How are the San Miguel project plans coming along?" Chloe asked, leaning over to check Daniel's work. "Good. Your specifications for the drainage system are perfect. The land will be more than safe." The New Beginnings Foundation had been born from the need to honor both Helena's memory and Chloe's lived experience. With Daniel managing the financial and technological aspects, and Chloe as technical director, they had developed social housing projects that prioritized safety and sustainability over profit. A letter from the Department of Housing arrived, Daniel said, handing Chloe an official envelope. Chloe opened it with slightly trembling hands. Although years had passed, official documents still made her nervous. "Daniel!" she cried after reading. "They approved our project for the 200 families in Willow Creek." "Really?" Daniel lifted her in his arms, spinning her around. "That's incredible." "What's happening?" Sophia asked, running towards them. "We're going to be able to build safe homes for many families who need them," Chloe explained, hugging the girl, "just like when you helped Mark and Anne." Chloe smiled. Sophia knew the full story now. She knew about Evergreen Valley, about the difficult months, about the squatter house where she had met Mark and Anne, who now worked for the foundation helping other homeless people. The phone rang, interrupting the celebration. It was Eleanor. "Good morning, my beautiful mother-in-law," Chloe answered with genuine affection. The relationship between them had blossomed after that night at the hospital. Eleanor had come to love Chloe like a daughter, especially after seeing how she had transformed Daniel and Sophia's lives. "Good morning, sweetie. Are you ready for lunch? I'm making stew." "Of course. Do you need us to bring anything?" "Only your smiles. Oh, and tell Daniel I got the papers he asked for." When Chloe hung up, Daniel looked at her curiously. "What papers?" "I don't know. She said you asked her for something." Daniel smiled mysteriously. "You'll see." That afternoon at Eleanor's house after lunch, Daniel asked for everyone's attention. "I have something to say," he began, suddenly nervous. "What is it, Daddy?" Sophia asked. Well, 5 years ago, a young woman asked for help on the street. At the time, I thought I was helping her, but the truth is she saved us. Chloe looked at him, confused. Daniel, what? Chloe, Daniel continued, kneeling in front of her, just as he had that first day on the street. You gave me back my life. You brought happiness back to my daughter. You taught us that a family isn't formed only by blood, but by love, by choice, by daily commitment. He pulled out a small velvet box. Will you marry me? Sophia shrieked with excitement. Eleanor put her hands to her chest. Chloe was speechless for a moment. Daniel, she whispered with tears in her eyes. I know we're already a family. I know you already have my heart, and I have yours. But I want it to be official. I want everyone to know you're my wife, that Sophia is our daughter, that we are a family forever. Yes, Chloe cried, throwing herself into his arms. Yes, yes, yes! Daniel put the ring on her finger, a simple but beautiful solitaire. Sophia ran to hug them both. We're going to have a wedding. We're going to have a wedding. Can I be the maid of honor? Eleanor asked, wiping away tears. Of course, Chloe laughed. It couldn't be any other way. 6 months later, at a ceremony in the garden of the house where they had truly become a family, Daniel and Chloe married. Mark and Anne were there, along with many of the families they had helped through the foundation. Sophia was the flower girl, proud to carry her parents' rings. In her small speech, she said, When I was little, I thought Mommy Chloe was a princess who came to save us. Now I know she wasn't a princess. She was something better. She was our family waiting for us to find her. During their honeymoon in Cartagena, as they walked along the walls of the old city, Daniel and Chloe talked about the future. You know what's the craziest thing about all this? Chloe said, leaning on her husband's shoulder. What? That it all started because you knelt in front of me on the street, and it ended with you kneeling in front of me to propose. Maybe that's my way of telling you that you'll always be important to me, important enough to kneel for. I hope you don't have to kneel anymore, Chloe laughed. My knees aren't up for those surprises anymore. Well, maybe one more time, Daniel said mysteriously. Why? When the right moment comes to give you another surprise. Chloe looked at him intrigued, but Daniel just smiled. 2 years later, when Daniel Jr. was born, Sophia declared that it was the best early birthday present she had ever received. And when Chloe gave birth, holding Daniel's hand, she knew their family was complete. The young woman who had once asked for help on the streets of San Francisco had found not only a home, but a purpose, true love, and the certainty that miracles exist when you least expect them. And it had all begun with a simple act of kindness between strangers who would become family. The foundation continued to grow, helping hundreds of families find safe housing. Sophia grew up knowing she was born of love, adopted by love, and that her family was formed by choice and daily commitment. On quiet nights when they put the children to bed, Daniel and Chloe sometimes remembered that first encounter in Union Square Park. Do you ever regret it? Daniel would sometimes ask her. Regret what? Asking for help that day. Never, Chloe would always reply. It was the first day of the rest of our lives. And she was right, because sometimes, when we think we're asking for help, we're actually offering love. And when we think we're giving help, we're actually receiving a family. What did you think of Chloe and Daniel's incredible journey from strangers to a loving family? Did any part of their story resonate with you? Share your thoughts and feelings in the comments below. If you were moved by this tale of forgiveness and second chances, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more uplifting and inspiring stories. We love connecting with our audience, so tell us, where in the world are you watching us from?